And there it is again. Double digits, folks. Quarantine log number 10. Sorry. Gotta put the thing back. And we are gonna actually start off this quarantine log with a bit of news, because there's been some news dropping recently that has us a bit on edge, man. China. You got some explaining to do, my guy. Apparently, the big news coming out of the global news is that apparently China has been bullshitting with their information on the coronavirus in their country. Turns out the situation was a lot more worse than they made it seem like it was, and this whole news story about people going back to work and everything being okay, turns out was a load of bullshit. Somewhat. Yeah, pretty much, kind of. Because that's the main thing going around right now in the news, is that China was very, 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 very vague in actually reporting the actual number of people who were diagnosed with the coronavirus and who have died from the coronavirus. They got us all, man. Bamboozled all of us, because we thought that, oh shit, since China is where all this shit started, and now they're saying that apparently things are going back to normal, that's probably a good thing. But apparently that is not so. So basically, we got duped. Surprised? Yes and no. Surprised in the fact of, you would think even with a country who has like a pretty shady communist government would at least put all that aside to, in this global pandemic. But then not surprised, because, well, then again, it is a fucking goddamn communist government that controls every aspect of the media and everything from here to Timbuktu in its own fucking area, along with the areas that they overtake too, which is why Hong Kong was a fucking mess too. But yeah, so that's a bit of news coming out of the world today. Not the kind of news we wanted to fucking hear during this whole thing. And also apparently in the rest of the news too, apparently Florida is in lockdown as well too. Florida, as everybody knows, was one of the main areas in which people were catching coronavirus like a mofo, because we had all those people out of Miami still trying to do the whole spring break thing, and they all came back to their respected states and spread the coronavirus throughout their fucking area. So to all those dickheads who were out and about in spring break, look what you did now. Florida, the one area you would think would not give a single flying fuck about this virus, is now under fucking lockdown, which is kind of not a surprise too, given that Florida was one of the states that was really holding its own when it comes to trying to be like, no, fuck that, we're not shutting anything down, everything's gonna go back, everything is gonna be fine. Oh snap, crackle, pop. I don't know if you saw that, but my door just, well, you can't see it because it's behind you, but the door to my bathroom just opened up a bit like it was a ghost. But no, it's these strong fucking winds that are coming right now. My fucking things are going off like a mofo. But now apparently we got a ghost out here trying to quarantine in our fucking spot too. Hey man, feel free, man. The more the merrier, yo. Be nice to see a fucking face that isn't too familiar. But nonetheless, here we are. It is now 12:21. It is Thursday. Once again, like I said, this week's going by very fast. How was my day? Well, the day that just passed, it was pretty good. Took care of some business. Actually, the business I had to take care of took up most of my day, which is fine because I like to be busy, especially now during this quarantine time. Anything I can do to keep myself busy, hell the fuck yes. And then after I did my business, I went to go do my workout. Another pretty simple workout. It wasn't too bad. There was a point though where I was really feeling a lot of fatigue, and I was like, I gotta push through, man. I gotta push through, and I did. And I rewarded myself by fucking, going to the bakery to try to get some bolillos so I can make some tortas. And by me, I mean my mom, because she's the fucking master at making fucking tortas, especially tortas de frijoles. Fuck, dude, who knew some simple fucking bread, mayo, beans, and fucking cheese would suck and smack so goddamn hard? But no, dude, like, it was ridiculous, because I don't know if I mentioned it on the previous log. I think I kind of did, but the bakery here in my corner is doing the whole self quarantine thing and making sure that there's only 10 people in the spot and everybody's keeping a nice distance amongst themselves. But now they really amped it up because apparently, like, today when I went to go get the bread, it was just, I want to go get $2 worth of bolillos, which is basically 8 pieces of fucking bread that I can, basically you order that shit, you're in and out of that place in like a minute if there isn't no line. But when I got to the fucking spot, it was fucking crazy, man. Like, there was a pretty sizable fucking line. It felt like I was waiting for, it felt like I was in a fucking line for like an exclusive nightclub. Security was there, letting everybody out and in. And then once I walked in, apparently the bakery took extra precautions now because they got the whole little, they hanged a little piece of like see-through, I think plastic or whatever, to kind of like make sure that people's germs don't, hit through the fucking thing. So it's always crazy to see that type of stuff happen to places you've been through so much because, I mean, I moved to this house back in the year 2000. So it's been almost 20 years basically since we moved in, since we've been living in this house, which is crazy too because because to me, I've never gotten to a point, I'm still young to where a lot of things haven't happened in such a long time. I think technically speaking, high school, I don't even think, is high school in the double digits? I graduated 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, no, 6 years. So it was like 6 years ago. But like living in this house is the only thing that I have like double digit years in doing. So I've been living in this house for 20 years and I've seen a lot of things happen with that bakery. But this is the first I've seen it go to that level of degree. It's fucking bonkers, man. Just seeing this bakery take a lot of precaution. People are buying bread in fucking droves, dude. They're not trying to come back to that bakery for a cool while. Like people walking out with practically boxes of that shit, man, which now apparently people are panic buying bread, dude. It's fucking crazy. But I understand the bread there's really fucking fire, but that bread, I don't think it's gonna last. It will last you, but I don't think it's gonna be that fresh once you like get to the last bit of it. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, you do you when it comes to this bread buying stuff. I got my little $2 of bolillo when I go fucking, eat my tortas and shit, because I had myself quite the successful workout, which shout out to my podcasts for keeping me up too. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts during my workout now because I used to listen to music, but for some reason now I'm listening to more podcasts now because given this whole self-quarantine thing, a lot of my podcast people that I listen to basically are just uploading more and more episodes now because, I mean, they're self-quarantined, they don't really have anything else to do. So it's really good for at least the listener to give us some content. So today I was listening to because yesterday I fell asleep listening to the Joe Rogan Experience, and then today I listened to the Bill Burr podcast. So it was really nice. It really helps you get through the workout, Although the one thing I do have to get used to is the timing, because sometimes when I used to listen to music, I would use song lengths as like times to know how much longer I have in a workout. Like if I'm doing a 20-minute run, I'm like, okay, this is about like a couple 5-minute songs, maybe like 4 or 5 normal time songs and stuff like that. But with podcasts, it's like you don't really get a frame of time in where how long you are into the workout. So just still have to get used to that. But no, the podcast definitely helped me push through the workout. And then after that, just, ate, played my some Call of Duty. As usual, I finally reached level 100, rank 100 in the game, which is good because every time I play with my friends, it seems that they've gone up another 20-some fucking levels, and it's fucking bonkers. But it feels good to finally be in triple-digit numbers. This is the first Call of Duty game that I've really put in a lot of fucking time in playing. But a good portion of that probably has to do with the quarantine, because this game came out October of last year, and I remember it good because that's when my life was going through another like big change, and like I was going through the changes of fucking life. And I remember I told myself, man, I'm really gonna play the shit out of Call of Duty, but then I fell off. But then this quarantine, I brought it back, and now I'm basically hooked on it again because I'm playing it like a motherfucker, dude. I unlock like the new weapons in the fucking game, so that gives me something else to level up in. So it's like always something new when I hop on, and I'm always trying to get better at the Warzone gameplay. So if anybody wants to fucking see me on PSN, man, hit my fucking line. But aside from that, though, I did watch on Netflix the Degenerates. I can't even fucking talk. The Degenerates, which is basically a show where each episode is like a stand-up comedian, and it takes place in Las Vegas. They just do like a quick 20-25 minute set. And it's pretty nice because, it's like, a new set of material from some of your favorite comics. Jim Norton has an episode. Joey Diaz has an episode. Bob Kelly has an episode. So it's really nice to see to see new material from comedians. Granted, the show did come out like 2018. I don't think they renewed it for a third season, or I haven't heard anything of it being renewed for a third season. But still, that's footage I haven't seen, so it's new to me. So that's really good to like get some new stuff because I'm still scrambling to find stuff on Netflix. And yet here I am still having so much left to finish on Netflix, and I still haven't fucking gotten to it. But I'm gonna get to it eventually. I mean, we have like, what's today, the second now? Yeah, today's technically the second now, so 29 more days. 29 more days in this quarantine, folks, and then it is, if all goes well, over. So pushing that through the limits. Tomorrow gonna be probably another simple day. It's Thursday, but this week's going by really fast, so this is really good. Hopefully it's a sign to come that this fucking 29 days will fly by. And a little bit of update too on my recent logs. I finally figured out the whole situation with my unemployment. It took them fucking until now to be like, oh hey, guess what? Your account has been approved and everything's been cool, so now you can sign into your thing. That's why I was locked out, because apparently like they still needed to process my account and make my account. But I got the email saying, funny, because I got the mail. I got it in the mail actually. I don't even know where I fucking have it, but I got the envelope that wanted me to fill out the information so that way I could get my first 2 week payments, my first payments on the first 2 weeks that I'm eligible for. But then once I got that, I got the email saying, hey, your online account's been approved and everything's all fine and dandy, so you can sign into your online one and do it from there, which is a lot faster. So I did. So I'm gonna get a little bit of money coming my way, which is good because fucking I could use some fucking cash, man. This job thing is still, weighing on me and a lot of other people too, which really fucking sucks. And just, and the whole thing with the fucking check thing, which now the more and more I sit on the whole $2 trillion relief package thing, the more I just think of how much it'll really fuck up our economy in the sense of how, like, this is basically $2 trillion, but we're already like, what, $21 trillion in fucking debt. So that's just going to add to the national debt in a time where we're long overdue for like a crisis. Someone I follow on Instagram said the exact same thing, which is why I'm just repeating her words. But in all honesty, it's like, it's something that I thought in myself too, but I tried my best to look at the positive. But the more I really, sit with what's going on in terms of how they're trying to relieve this type of stuff, the more it just kind of seems like this is ultimately setting us up for like some financial hardships once this is all over, which is why I fucking pray that once this quarantine is over and people are able to go back to businesses and establishments, that'll bring a nice little hike in the economy to where it doesn't affect us too much. Because also another reason why I was very skeptical of the bill too is because Representative of Kentucky Thomas Massey went on the House floor and asked for a recorded vote of the actual relief plan. And once he did that, a lot of people were very much against it. Everybody thought that he was trying to halt the bill even more, but he actually came through with a reason, because he believed that the thing was basically like, yeah, it was going towards a lot of other things that didn't have to do with the main people who needed help, which were the citizens of the United States of America, which, like I said, people, like, once Nancy Pelosi introduced this shit, basically it was a fucking free for all of people to try to get their fucking input on this stuff. So, I think part of this stuff went to like bailouts. Like, I think part of it went to like PBS apparently. And it's just like a lot of money being funneled into things that honestly just don't need to be funneled. There's two main areas that need to be funneled, period. The citizens and the fucking businesses. But actually, no, not the businesses, sorry, the medical field. Because with the businesses, it's very complicated given the fact that we ultimately we don't want this to go to a bunch of other companies that can afford to at least hold off on business for a while. The companies that are like Fortune 500 companies, big companies like that too. But definitely there's a lot of small businesses who rely on the annual income of what their business makes to help the other people out. But these people are still, like, the employees themselves are still getting a stimulus too. So that should definitely, like, require businesses to really, like, lay off on that type of stuff too. But there's a lot of elements that go into this fucking relief bill that honestly is just going to cause a lot of confusion and a lot of answers that are going to need to be fucking, heard after this is all over. Because this is definitely we're like, the government scrambled. The government scrambled like fucking crazy to try to solve this type of stuff. And it's the same issue with a lot of other issues in this country. They think that just by throwing money at it, that everything will be fine. But everything's like, people get the little $1,200 check now and everything's all fine and dandy until ultimately the quarantine's over, and then you find out inflation went up and a lot of things are going up, and then the value of the dollar is going to go down because ultimately the Federal Reserve is just printing out fucking money that devalues the currency. You know, prime example of this is what happened in Zimbabwe. They just kept printing more and more money because they're just like, well, hey, we want people to like get out of poverty, let's just print out more money. But then the value of your currency went down in the global market, and basically it wasn't the fucking money wasn't worth the paper it was fucking printed on. Same thing with Venezuela too, with a huge lot of inflation and stuff like that too. Like this is definitely shades of that type of thing happening right now because the dollar is always going up and down in the global economy. You know, given America's reach in terms of the way the role we play in the global economy, you know, we are okay, but honestly, we're not. It's not concrete, you know, and any opportunity, especially given now with this whole pandemic situation and the economy of the country and in parts of the world too, like a lot of things were stopping. So it's like, this is not a good thing for a lot of people, but that's ultimately the result of what happens when we let the government get too much power, especially the power of the currency too, because the Federal Reserve has honestly been a pain in this country's fucking side for so fucking long. Not a lot of people are willing to realize that type of stuff. Like, this is the people that are in charge of the money, but also how much our money is worth in general. So the fact that, you know, they don't really care about what happens to the value of their money, because ultimately the people that are behind it have their, you know, safety package basically in check. You know, because these people, they don't care what happens. They have a pulse on what's going to happen for the future of the dollar and the economy. So they're already ready to be like, well, hey, fuck it, we'll put our money here, here, here. So if everything goes to shit, at least we're still cool. And that's not fucking cool at all, because ultimately these are the people that are in charge of the fucking currency of our state. And, you know, that's why a lot of people, especially myself, the libertarians, are always like, fuck the Fed and end the Fed. The Federal Reserve is honestly like basically like the biggest corporate bank of the bank. You know, it's the biggest bank of all because it's a bank that's backed up by the government, which has been given so much power lately to where they can honestly do whatever the fuck they want. And if it all goes to shit, then we, the people, are going to be forced to fucking have to save that shit. Same thing what happened with the whole Wall Street bailout. It's like the whole thing happened, and then the housing crisis happened, you know, and then ultimately the Obama administration, along with everybody else too, basically was like, all of government was just like, okay, fuck it, let's bail these fucking banks and these people out with taxpayer money. And it's just like, no, like, that's not the capitalistic way, because so many people talk a lot of shit about, oh, I hate capitalism this, I hate capitalism that, which is funny because a lot of these people are saying this shit through their social medias on their iPhones, which is very hypocritical, but we're not going to get into that. The main thing is, a lot of people who are like, I hate capitalism is evil, this and that too, are mistaking capitalism for corporatism. Because capitalism in its full raw sense means if a market succeeds or fails, it succeeds and fails on its own. So if the banks all went to shit in a true capitalistic country, they would have just been out and left to fucking hang, because they're like, hey man, you're the one that made these gambles, you're the ones that signed off on all these leases and all these things that you didn't have a guarantee, you know, have a guaranteed stability. So why should the government and the taxpayers have to bail you out for your own mistakes? But because the banks and are lobbying a lot of these politicians who say they're for the people, ultimately they're like, hey, we fucking paid for your fucking elections, we paid for you guys to get into fucking office, so now you guys have to scratch our fucking backs and save us from this using our fucking taxpayer money. That's why there was the whole Occupy Wall Street situation happening, because ultimately the people saw that, you know, these big banks who fucked up and flew too close to the sun, all of a sudden now we're forced to fucking help them out, which is total bullshit. So next time you start getting on your little MacBook or your fucking little iPhone talking about you hate capitalism, think if it's actual capitalism or corporatism. Because if there's an aspect of business, of capitalistic business, but there's government interference, that's not capitalism, man. That's corporatism, and that is not the fucking way, man. And that's a lot of what's going on right now in this country too, which is why a lot of people are very confused, and you have a lot of people turning over to things like socialism, which is just as worse too, because, you know, ultimately that's giving government the ultimate fucking power to do whatever with everything of ours, with the economy, with our resources, with everything. And if you look at it, and basically just look at the entire list of socialist countries that practically went under, there's no one good example of a socialist fucking country, period. And everybody's all like, oh, well, Sweden and Norway, all these Nordic country examples, they're not socialist governments. They have a large social programming, but but they still practice a lot of the economic practices of a capitalistic government. And also you have to take in things a lot of other things into consideration, because there's this big Nordic myth. It's like you have to realize that all these Nordic countries are practically like the size of fucking New Jersey, and then they have tax rates which are like 60-70% and above. And let me ask you this: are you hardworking individuals out there ready to give 60 to 70% of your fucking check to the government in hopes that they'll actually take care of whatever you need to be taken care of? No, you don't even trust your government now. So why would you trust them with more than half of your fucking check, larger portions of your fucking money? Also, you need to take into consideration too that a lot of these countries aren't even diverse. America is one of the most diverse countries ever, and all these Nordic countries have like a 98 to 99.9% rate of same race, religion, and background. And usually when it's all the same people, they all just need the same fucking thing. So it's easy to satisfy everybody's needs if everybody's the same. But here in America, it's a lot different, which is why we impose this capitalistic mentality of like, well, listen, if you have the ability, like everybody is different, but everybody's the same, in which they have the same opportunities to try to rise up and get what they need to get. And I know that it's really hard to believe that given the way things are going right now, but that's why we need to try to bring back the dynamics of what made this country America, like what made America America. Because right now we've definitely gotten lost with like fear and manipulation to give power to government that honestly they don't need to be having. Definitely ask yourself, like, what if you were able to keep like most of your, like practically like 90 to 95% of your fucking money? Because I know a lot of people out there, you pick up that check stub, you see all the minus this, minus that tax, the federal, state, income, whatever fucking tax. Imagine if all that shit was just slashed the fuck out. How much better would your lives be with all that extra money in your fucking check? It'd be great. But no, unfortunately, that goes to fucking government over in DC, and then they're over there to figure out what's good for you with your own money, and that's bullshit. Same thing with a lot of other taxes too. Property taxes, like you buy a house, you pay off the mortgage, it's your own private property. You think to yourself, all right, hands are clean now. You did what you did. You got the American dream. You got your house. It's over. But it's not, because you have to pay another mortgage, which is the property income tax. No, the property tax, which is basically like the mortgage to the fucking government for whatever fucking reason, because apparently the government thinks they need to take a slice of your property, or at least the money of your property, for whatever fucking reason. And if you don't pay these fucking taxes, you go to fucking jail. Like, that's what I'm saying. The IRS is the biggest example of a fucking just a mafia that's able to get away with so much. It's like the biggest mafia, because they're backed up by quote unquote the power of their job, which is to, what they think is their job, which is to like, help everybody out. That's not their job. The jobs of politicians, the jobs of government organizations are to like basically protect our civil liberties, and then do the minimalist things, which is like, policing, police, firefighters, things of that nature. Like, and most of that should be handled by the individual states itself too. A lot of the things like education and wildlife and all this other type of stuff doesn't need to be handled by the government, because you're giving a large portion of power to a small group of people that can be easily manipulated, because that's just human nature in general. A lot of times, human nature, if you give someone a large portion of power, at one point they could be, overcome by that power, or probably that power came from other entities that want to control these people who are now in power. And that's what happens when you have too much government involvement. You allow small groups of individuals to control a large portion of these people's lives. And that's ultimately where we're at now, because now millions and millions of Americans are at the mercy of government, who are scrambling to figure out what's best, what to do best with your own money. It's like, how many people would have been safe, or how many more people would have been ready for anything if they were able to keep the money themselves, if they were able to save their own money themselves, instead of being like, hey, we'll take your money and we'll put it in this, we'll put it in that, we'll put it in this, that, to save the money for you. Like, no, why can't I be responsible for saving my own fucking money, But I got off on a tangent. This is fucking crazy. I don't even know how I got to this point. But that's just how I am on my political ramblings, and all my political ramblings too aren't that well structured too, because it's pretty late. I'm a bit tired, and sometimes when I start to ramble about politics, I really just go all over the place, because once I start thinking about one thing, I think about another. Because ultimately, look, if I can leave you with one big giant message in this whole fucking political rambling session, is this: any political or social issue is not black and white. A lot of people are just like, everything is black and white. It's always this and this. It's never this one issue. There's so many sub topics that go into one issue, and it's like a fucking web. It's a chain. It's like you have one problem, and that problem could be connected to this and that and this and that and that and this and that and this. But one thing that a lot of these social and political programs have is that they all still intertwine with one major aspect, which is the federal government and how much power the government has over its people, and how much freedom we really have now in this day and age in America. And right now with this pandemic, a lot of the civil liberties, a lot of the freedoms in this country are in jeopardy, because just like when it came to 9/11 and terrorism, just like when it came to communism, a lot of the times people will use fear to manipulate you, to allow the government to do all these unconstitutional, unfair, and honestly tyrant-like behavior. It's like, and it's not cool, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people really just need to kind of really see what's in front of them, and realize that a lot of these programs that they claim are here to help you are honestly here to entrap you, because they're entrapping you for you to constantly need government. And that's what gets people votes. That's what makes people stay in office. Not by creating solutions that'll make the people free, but rather how can we, put these people on all these government programs to make sure that they are constantly needing our support, so that way they can keep voting for us in the ballot. It's a fucking game. That's what I'm saying. Nothing is ever black and fucking white, man. Nothing is ever black and fucking white. There's a lot of things that are in play right now that you don't really see, because you're one, not a lot of time. I understand people are working, That's why a lot of us now, people my age, the younger generation, really have to take on that responsibility of being the more politically conscious, can't even speak, so that way we can kind of see the bullshit happening in front of us. But unfortunately, a lot of us are starting to fall into that same aspect of falling for the same bullshit, just disguised as something else. One prime example, and I'm sorry if this is gonna piss somebody off, but Bernie Sanders is a prime example of new shit wrapped in different foil, because this whole democratic socialism thing, which is a load of bullshit. I hate the fact that Bernie's like, you're like, we call him a socialist because he's a fucking socialist. He's even praised socialist regimes, and he's just like, you need to put democratic in front of it. That doesn't make it any fucking different. Democratic just means you get to put it to a vote, so you get to vote for the people that control your fucking life, like control basically every aspect of your life. Venezuela had a fucking election. Isn't that quote unquote democratic socialism? They voted for their next fucking goddamn fucking dictator to come and just fucking control and fuck up their entire country. Same thing with Bernie fucking Sanders. They lure you in. This is the same socialist plot that has been happening every single fucking time. They lure you in with this promise of free this, free that. Everything's gonna be for the people, for the people. No. Because in a socialist government, they lie to you to say that this is for the people, but then they all just take it themselves and they deal with it first. Because there's somebody that's going to have to deal with all this type of stuff, and that's government. That's like, because right now government holds a lot of power in things that they don't need to be a part of right now. So imagine if you vote for someone who is like going towards a full-on socialist regime in this country. You're basically like, we're at like a 40 to 50%, like, federal government interference. Once that happens and we cross the socialist part, you're basically looking at pretty much everything and anything and everything completely being controlled by the government, and you having so much limited fucking freedom that you'll know why it's fucked when it all fucking goes to shit, because that's how socialism works. That's how it comes into play. I mean, you want an even hardcore fucking example of fucking what socialism can cause? Look at the fucking Nazi Party, dude. Hitler ran as a fucking socialist. The Nazi Party stands for National National Association of Socialists, whatever, something. Look up what the fucking Nazi actually means. It's like German for like the National Socialist Party of Germany, and that's how it fucking happened. That's how Hitler was able to take over this fucking country and start one of the biggest fucking horrible abominations in the entire American history, which was the fucking Holocaust, because he came in as someone who promised, prosperity, free shit, to rebuild the fucking country. And at first everybody was like, oh, look, our economy's doing great, this and this and that. Then it all went to fucking shit, because you need to realize that it's as fucking frank as Frankenstein. You give a small group of people large numbers of fucking power, they will come and fuck you in the ass, bro. They will fuck you straight in the fucking ass. And it can be as low as like Venezuela right now, with people having to eat fucking trash can and fucking dogs, and their fucking currency not being worth shit, all the way to it being the full-on extreme to something like fucking Adolf Hitler with the fucking Nazi party, dude. I'm telling you right now, those are the only two options you pretty much have. You either have a total totalitarian dictatorship, or you have a country in fucking economic turmoil that's going to cause large numbers of revolutions. Revolutions are going to be fought by people with fucking fireworks and sticks and rocks, because the government takes away your guns. That's what I'm saying. This is why things like the Second Amendment exist. This is why the First Amendment exists. When it comes to socialism, a lot of the times, both sides of the aisle, whether it's the Venezuela, crumbling economic countryside, or the fucking Nazi regime party, speech is halted. Speech is cut off. Speech is restricted, because when the government is in control, they're in control of everything. And what you hear, what you see, the things you're allowed to see, the things you're allowed to hear, the things you're allowed to do, the things you're allowed to buy, the places you're allowed to work in, it all just speaks anti-freedom. And it all just says that basically you are going to be without the ability to make your own decisions, that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is going to go right out the fucking window. And that's why you have areas like Hong Kong, Venezuela, a lot of African countries, a lot of areas in this world who fight these civil wars, because they want those freedoms. But the problem is that so many people are still trying to disguise this socialism government overtake as something that's nice and cool and involving. It doesn't. Yeah, it involves everybody. It involves everybody being equally fucked. Everybody's like, no, we're all gonna be equal. Yeah, you're all gonna be equally fucked. But you know who's not gonna be fucked? Those people in fucking government, because they're the ones that are fucking pulling the strings. Once you give them all that power to pull the fucking strings, man. Jeez, I went really fucking tin hat conspiracy guy on you right now, but you may think I'm fucking talking crazy, but I'm telling you right now, bro, look at the history books. Look at the history books. There are so many examples of this type of stuff happening right now that you don't even fucking know, fam. I'm telling you right now, all the times you fucking were dozing off in history and political science classes, trust me, do some fucking research, bro. Come talk to me. I'll talk to you about this shit too. I can show you so many examples of a lot of socialist countries all going to shit. Don't believe these fucking Bernie bros who are like, no, this is different. It's not. It's not. And everybody who says that isn't real socialism or that isn't real communism or whatever the fuck too, they're lying to you. They're lying to you, because that's exactly how it fucking is. Everybody's equal, but they don't tell you the catch, which is everybody's equal in terms of them all being on a lower level to the government. Yeah, everybody's equal because everybody's basically at the fucking bottom, while the elite government are at top because you gave them that ability, whether they took it by force or you democratically voted for it. Ultimately, they will come and fuck you in the ass, which is why you need to preserve your freedoms. You need to preserve your civil liberties. You need to fight for your free speech. Fight for your right to own a fucking gun. Fight for your right to privacy. Fight for your right to a lot of this shit that the government does not want you to have, because it's a barrier from them being able to take over every aspect of your life and basically rule the fucking country and then the fucking world, man. These fucking globalists and all this other shit, man, just stay fucking woke out there. I need to cut this shit off already, because I'm already going to be at the 35-minute mark. And man, I honestly didn't think it was going to go this route. I really didn't. But you know what? Sometimes it really do be like that. Poli-sci major, libertarian. I'm deep in the fucking murky waters, dude. I'm in these fucking political trenches, my guy. So watch yourself and just, I don't know, man. Coronavirus, stay clean, but also stay clean from the government too. Later.